is about basic deployment. Let's call it the prerequisites to deploy. What is needed? First thing you need is two statuses to deploy from and to the transition to. And the statuses, as seen in previous sessions, are defined as configuration items. So going to the configuration item CI, status, we have, let's take status that are related to the QA environment. We have the ready for QA and the in QA status. So the ready for QA, we consider it the from status. The in QA, we consider it the to status. And in the from status, we need to define the status as deployable. And the to status, which is in QA, has to be defined and contains the environment we are going to deploy to, which is the QA environment. So having these two states, that's the first thing we need to be able to deploy. Deploying is done through changesets. Changesets, or we should say category topics of the type changeset. We have called it here changeset, but it could be any name. What's important is the type that has been specified, and here we specify changeset. So we can also specify release. Release is also a deployable category topic. So now we have these two statuses. We have a topic category of the type changeset defined. What also has to be met is the workflow. The workflow has to contain the transitioning from the from state to the to state. So looking at this, here we say we are going from ready for QA to in QA done by a developer, and we see here there is a note between brackets promote. Promote is the action that is going to be taken, and to be able to promote anything from this state to this state, we need a pipeline rule to be defined. Pipeline rule is defined in the rule system. So we go to the admin rules. If we look at pipeline, you will see that there is a main pipeline for promote. This is the same promote as we have seen in the workflow. Looking at this pipeline, we always see the 5 steps of a pipeline rule, which is the check, the init, the pre, the run, and the post. In the check, we will check if everything is okay, if the quality gates have been met, if documentation has been attached to the change set. In the init session, we will, for instance, change the status of the change set to deployment in progress, because it's well possible that we initiate the deployment but it's going to be executed tomorrow. In the preset, we will do as much as possible to prepare the deployment, because deployment is done in a window, and the window in a slot, a job slot, and that might be a limited time for certain production machines. So in the pre, we will, for instance, build the application so that in the actual deploy, which is the run, we will only deploy, we will only get the changes to the target environment that have been built in the pre-step of this pipeline. And in the post, we are going to update the metadata, update the status on successful deployment or on failure of deployment, so that we have a notice of what happened to our job, what has happened to our deployment. These are the prerequisites for a deployment. So we need a to and a from state, deployable, and an environment. We need a type changeset topic category. We need a workflow that reflects the transition from the from status to to status that are deployable. And we need a pipeline rule for the promote, the demote, and the static, because that are the three options that we can select in the workflow. How do we now deploy a change set? A change set is deployed from either the topic change set. When the topic change set reaches a status that is deployable. So as here we have ready for QA, we have here the option, the button to create a new job, and we can start the deployment of that change set. The other way to do it is going to the project view, to the client app, for instance, and looking at ready for QA. We have here the same changeset 2044. Right click on the mouse, and here we have the promote in QA, which will also generate a new job. So this was a session about prerequisites to deploy a change set and how to start a deployment. What happens during deployment, how we can follow it up, is going to be explained in a later session.